Hello and welcome back. We appreciate you joining us here for a quick demonstration and overview of our situation report toolkit. I'm Spencer Pollock, and I appreciate you jumping on with us here. We'll be talking a little bit about our SitRep toolkit, why we created it, what it is at the 30,000 foot view, what we appreciate from you, feedback, and then ultimately we'll break down in other videos kind of how this thing works, how to utilize it, some best practices, and some instructions. So without further ado, welcome to the SitRep toolkit we've prepared. What we want to do with this is really bring some efficiency and perhaps more effectiveness to emergency managers and incident management teams by taking the best practices from the all hazard world in situation reporting, as well as the wildland fire space, bring those together, and then overlay the power and the efficiency of Google, in this case, Google Sheets, to simultaneously create your products, capture your information a little bit more streamlined, and then organize it into printables, if you will, that we can either deliver via email, paper, and in person, or certainly create some presentation capabilities if you need to give a presentation to key stakeholders. So with that said, we'll jump into a few credits here, who we appreciate in helping build this, and then we'll dive into a 30,000 foot overview. So to start off, I want to thank Dr. James Burkhart with Crow Creek Consultancy. Dr. Burkhart was instrumental in helping bring some of the tools together to help us shape kind of the best practices and organize what we wanted to ultimately capture and then redisplay from all of his experience out and about in the field and doing the things downrange. Also wanted to thank Todd Manns and Pat Gertis from the Blue Cell. They've been very helpful in, again, bringing best practices that we can kind of synthesize and then aggregate, as well as very helpful in the beta testing of this thing. Getting it out in front of some folks and audiences in exercise situations where we could kind of polish off the rough edges a little bit, right, and bring you a tool that's hopefully ready to go for the live real time. Like I mentioned, my name is Spencer Pollock. I'm with the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. I serve as their preparedness section chief, and the group of us fairly well created this, hopefully, and so you'll see kind of what we're doing with it. We Prepare is weprepare.org, and that's where we're putting these tools that we either find and aggregate or that we create, and that's where you also can view the videos and whatnot. And so going to weprepare.org, you can make your own copy of this if you find it useful and use it to your own heart's content in your EOC or your incident management situation. We also want to thank a bunch of the beta testers out there. We bounced this around a handful of folks across the country who provided some course correction and some shaping to get it where it is today. So with that said, any of us appreciate feedback on this, that if we're doing it right, great. You don't need to necessarily let us know that, but if you've got questions or feedback on what's not working or what you'd like to see added to it, certainly do let us know those things, and we'd be happy to kind of work on continuous improvement as we work on versions 2 and 3 and 4 and just keep this thing a work in progress. So we talked kind of the premise and concept of this thing, right? Really trying to maximize, and it's designed primarily for those emergency managers and those smaller jurisdiction EOCs to maximize that scarce time. It captures the data up and it allows you to either capture it yourself, and we'll show you how that works, or assign that out to particular folks based on the permissions that we can grant in Google. When we do that, while you're capturing that data, it's simultaneously building your products. And so this helps, number one, with your time management. And number two, you're not doing duplicate data entry where we have chances of fat fingering something and getting an error throughout our products. So with that said, hopefully you'll find this tool useful, and we'll kind of show you a few of the high points here real quick. It's built kind of largely off the FEMA lifelines, coupled with some of the work out of Texas A&M and other places on their essential elements of information, and you'll see some of these themes and trends throughout the document. Got some instructions that we'll go over in another video, but briefly wanted to give you a kind of an architecture of what we're looking at, kind of a table of contents. So like our other tools, we try to color code everything to make it easy to use. So the bright green is stuff that is sort of data entry. That's where you're going to interact with the tool, either you or folks you delegate. The purple is templates where you can customize all the questions. So say you don't like question number 7, we'll see that in a minute here. You can change it out, and it will change it out throughout all the documents. Any of the light blue here are printables, and so these are designed to either print on a wall size plotter kind of paper, to be displayed in an EOC or an ICP environment, or certainly on 8.5 by 11 kind of stuff. Some of the tools are in orange, and we'll see those here in another video where you can, again, quickly, easily make a map if you're lacking on GIS capability or waiting for that to emerge. These will get you by in a pinch. The data entry goes in here on the EEI pages, and we'll look at that. And then the red ones are really the products that it generates, right? So as you're typing all this stuff in, it's aggregating it, summarizing it, and displaying it. All the stuff's hyperlinked. And so you can come to the front page and click the hyperlinks and off you go, or you can just scroll through the tabs down at the bottom and click on what you need. The blue section here, the bright blue section, is reports, and so it takes some of the aggregate information that the red tabs do, but then dives a little bit deeper. And so if you need to take a look at something in particular, chances are you can see that level of granular detail in the blue tabs. Last, down below, these kind of brownish tabs, these are the 209 family. Certainly the big four that we usually see, but then we've found some other best practices that we've incorporated down below, depending on the type of incident you're doing, or if you're looking for something that's not quite a full 209, we've got a few kind of alternates or abbreviated documents here for you to use. So very briefly, we'll take a peek here at what you're looking at as far as data capture. You can see here at the very beginning when you set this thing up, and we'll talk about a setup video, not a whole lot of information you need to put in. A lot of it's evergreen, and a lot of it can be pre-populated sort of in the blue sky environment. When you come down here a little bit to what you or a local jurisdiction would want to put in, you can see it's not a whole lot either. A little bit of damage, a little bit of cost, a little bit of resource information, a few spots for images, maps, charts, whatever else. And all of those will aggregate and roll up, and we'll see in more detail in other videos. But they create these variety of products, right? So a printable to PDF, just like all the other tools, document that can sort of tell the story as either a placemat setting during a briefing or a print PDF and email to folks so they can kind of cruise through and get the 30,000-foot bluff, the bottom line up front information very quickly. And you can see all the lines and all the other stuff disappear when you go to the PDF version. It also generates a briefing packet, and so that really is kind of a deeper dive to the placemat. So if you have an audience that needs more information, you can use that. And again, all this is automated, so there's really no additional typing from your data entry pieces. You can see we then add some graphs and charts. When you add some data, and we'll show in another video the trends over time data, you get a variety of kind of forecasting and analyst type charts that help direct where this thing may be going. You see some summaries of those county details rolled up, and then also we create a briefing here. And so the briefing is designed to, again, print to full screen PDF, full size PDF, and when displayed in the full screen setting, it pops out as a PowerPoint essentially, and you can use your clicker or your mouse or whatever else to walk people through. While we're talking about some of those other things, you can see there's a few of the charts and graphs here, these little reports. Again, kind of dive in, and some of them, again, until you populate them, there's some sample data they don't show up, but as you start populating, all this runs kind of automatically. So hopefully you can see how you can take some of the pieces that we're looking at, make them a little bit more efficient, a little more streamlined, and really kind of make your job easier, especially in those early phases of a disaster when time is just at a crunch. But as well as kind of later in the disaster, these still present organized professional products that you can give to stakeholders and also for your archive. So we'll wrap this video up, kind of a 30,000-foot summary. Like I said, other videos will dive into more details on how this thing works. So with that, contact information again here if you'd like to reach out with questions, customization, feedback, any of that. So as always, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your continued commitment to being professional incident responders or emergency managers, and hopefully you find this helpful. We'll see you on the next one, and take care. Have a good day.